James chapter 5. I was going to try to finish, but after I talked to my doctor, I decided I'm going to keep it short. My wife said, that's simple. Just don't tell us what you think. Just stick with your notes and we'll be fine. Verses 1 through 5, we saw the warning against hoarding. Verses 6 through 9, we saw that we ought to live like a Christian because Christ is coming back and we're all going to stand before the judgment seat of Christ or the great white throne, whichever you are. Verses 10 and 11, we saw the examples of faith, what it means to live by faith. And then in verses 12 through 20, we'll see the relationship between sickness and sin. Is all sickness the result of sin? And does every sin result in sickness? Those are things that we will try to look at. And what do you do when you find yourself sick? And that will depend on the circumstances. And we'll get into that a whole lot more. In verse 12, which is as far as we're going to get, and I noticed I got my numbering wrong. Should be number 1 is verse 12. Everything else should be A, B, C, and then 1 in parentheses. I'll get that straightened out before next time. But in verse 12, he says that he starts off, but above all things. Now, we've looked at a lot of things in the book of James. We've seen, a lot of different subjects. We've seen, how to get patience. We've seen where to get good gifts and perfect gifts. We've looked at the tongue and the danger. We've looked at the danger of worldliness. And then he says, now above all of that, all of those are important, but this is even more important than anything we've covered up to this point. Above all else, or all things, swear not, neither by heaven, neither by the earth, neither by any other oath. So in other words, this is in the sight of God who put it in Scripture. This is more important than anything we've looked at. Basically, do not swear. Swearing, and I'll look at the various forms of swearing, it is such an atrocious sin that James put it above all the other things that we've looked at. Do not swear. Now, you've got your notes, but I will stick mostly with those. It would certainly, absolutely include any swearing to try to prove I'm serious. I swear that's what happened. I've heard several variances of this. I swear on a stack of Bibles I'm telling the truth. I swear on my mother's grave. I swear on my wife's grave. I swear by whatever. And those are wrong. Those are obviously wrong. So any swearing to prove that I'm serious is automatically wrong. And we'll look at why. It would include things like repeating that I'm telling the truth. I'm telling you the truth, man. This is what happened. I'm telling you, this is the truth. This is what happened. Well, if I have to say that, I'm already in trouble and on several levels. But it would include, that's what happened. That's really what happened. I really did catch a 36-inch fish that weighed 500 pounds. I swear that's the truth. Or that really did happen. Well, if you have to point out that's really what happened, you're already in trouble and you're swearing on a lesser scale, but it's still swearing anyway. If I have to vow and declare and repeat and repeat and repeat because you don't believe me, there's something wrong with my life, and there's something wrong by a few other things. It would also include making a promise. I'll see you tomorrow morning. That's all that should be necessary. I'll see you tomorrow morning. I promise. I promise you. I promise. If you have to keep promising to get people to believe you, you're something wrong. And I've already covered, I swear on my mother's graves. I swear to God I'm telling the truth. I swear on a stack of Bibles. What's it called in court if you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? What's that called if you lie? Perjury. It's a felony. It's punishable by imprisonment. Don't tell nobody. That happens all the time. Every time a politician goes before Congress, I swear to tell the truth. Watch out, they're lying when they swear to tell the truth. I've got that in the notes. Yeah, I've got that in there. I knew that would come up. If I have to swear or emphasize and repeat and promise that I'm telling the truth, in our everyday life, we should never have to make a solemn promise to convince people that we're telling the truth. Now, in answer to your question, I believe, and most preachers I know agree, this does not apply when you're swearing in court to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so long as that really is your intention to tell the truth and the whole truth. Why is it? Because the judge doesn't know me. The jury probably doesn't know me. The prosecutor probably knows me. That's why he's prosecuting me. His job is to prove that I'm lying. And so, because of that, I am swearing, and some places now, some places will let you swap I swear to tell the truth to I promise to tell the truth. A few places will let you get by that. But in that case, you're making a solemn oath, not to God, but to the judge, to the jury, to the prosecutor, and everyone there, that I will tell the truth no matter what the consequences. Now, our Constitution has a way out of that. Anybody know what that is? I plead the Fifth Amendment. I refuse to answer on the grounds that it might incriminate me. And they cannot make you testify. And you don't even have to swear in some cases. But my understanding, and most preachers I know, you're promising to the judge and the court that I am going to tell the truth. It's not like, I swear that's the truth. I'm swearing that I'm going to tell the truth. And most of us agree that is exempted from this statement. Then in verse 12, let your yea be yea and your nay, nay. In other words, I should live my life every day that my integrity would never come up. If I say I did that, I did it. If I say I did not do it, I didn't do it. That my integrity, my honesty should be such that I say I didn't do it should be enough for everybody that knows me to know I didn't do it. I don't need to swear. I don't need to vow. I don't need to swear on a stack of Bibles. I don't need to swear on my mother's grave. The fact that I said I did not do it, my integrity should be such that there is no question or there is no doubt. If Brother Ellis said it's true, it's true. You can believe it. That's the way we ought to live. There should never be a reason for anybody to look at us and think of us as dishonest. Saying something once, I did not do it, I will do it, I bought this, I did not buy this, the list could go on forever, should be enough for everybody that believes us without having to go any farther. My dad had impeccable credit. You know, Dad was Carl Ellis Jr. There was another Carl Ellis Jr. in Clarksville who was as dishonest, never paid his bills. He was behind on everything, and they were always getting my dad and this guy mixed up. But the bank where my dad did business, they knew him. He walked in and said, I forget the president's name, but he would walk in and say, I need to borrow $5,000. Yes, sir, Mr. Ellis. Would you prefer check, cash, or money order? Because they knew him. They knew if he borrowed it, he would pay it back. But they had to know it was him and not the other Carl Ellis Jr., who Dad used to get notices, you're late, you're behind. And he would take him down to the place and say, this is the other Carl Ellis Jr. But he was so well known that all he had to do is say, I promise, I will pay it back. He didn't even have to promise. And a handshake was as good as a 20-page contract. If Carl Ellis said he'll pay it, we don't need 50 contracts. If Carl Ellis says he'll pay it, it will be paid. Nobody ever questioned his integrity, except when they got him mixed up with the other Carl Ellis Jr. So that's the way we should live. It's like, did you see anything? And your cousin, cousin, will find this out. I didn't see a thing. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Did you see anything? Yes, sir. Were you speeding? Yes, sir. You know how many people would not speed for all the money in the world, even though they're doing 65 in the 30? I wasn't speeding. No, if I tell you I was not speeding, that should be all you need to know. Last time I got a ticket was 6 or 7 years ago. And the guy said, you were speeding. Yes, sir. I knew it. I was telling one of the officers, I had my badge on me because I was with the police, but I knew I was guilty, and there was no way on earth at that point I was going to pull my badge out to get out of a ticket. I was guilty. He said, you know you were speeding. Yes, sir, I know I was speeding. When he wrote me the ticket, walked away, I thanked him for doing his job. I was speeding. Why lie about it? Why deny it? Why, try to pretend I didn't do it? Let your yea be yea. Now, he almost had a heart attack when I thanked him. He said in all of his years, he's never had anybody thank him for giving them a ticket. And I said, you're doing your job. Why should I be mad at you for doing what we pay you to do? So we should be so honest that nobody would ever question our integrity. We should be so honest that there would never, anybody that knows us should never even question, that doesn't sound right. Hey, if Gary said it, it's true. It's all you need to know. If Charles said he'll do it, Charles will do it. Bet your life on it. He's a man who has proven for all of his life, if he says he'll do it, he'll do it. If he says he will cover something, he will cover it. And I'm putting a lot of stock on your word there. But we all should be like that. Everybody I've ever talked to that knows you, usually it's funeral or something. He is as honest as the day is long. That's a good thing. We all should be as honest as the day is long. Now, I personally don't think it refers to sarcasm, because by its very nature, sarcasm is a lie to emphasize the truth. Does that make any sense? I've told you 1,000,000 times not to do that. Does anybody believe I've told him 1,000,000 times? If you do, you're crazy. This is not sarcasm, this is ignorance. You do that one more time and I'm going to tan your hide. That's not sarcasm. That's the kid knows you're lying and you're bluffing and you're not going to do a cotton picking thing about it. But sarcasm, I could eat a horse right now. Does anybody believe sarcasm is saying the opposite to emphasize the positive. You have to be careful with sarcasm, but it can be an effective tool. It's like, how did you like your liver and onions? Oh, I love the liver and onions. Yummy. Does anybody believe I love liver and onions? I said I loved them, but I gave it away as sarcasm. I can't stand liver and onions. So it's like, oh yeah, I really love liver and onions. Most people understand that sarcasm, and I'm not lying because I'm telling you with the expression, with the body language. I'm telling you, oh yeah, I've told you 1,000,000 times. No, I didn't. I'm emphasizing I've told you over and over and over, and you're not listening. But 1,000,000 times, nah, I don't think so. And the list of sarcasm could go on and on. It's making a point by stating the opposite. You know what? Everybody know what sarcasm is. Oh boy, I had a lady, I was in college, and she wore the ugliest hat one day to church. I have never seen a hat as ugly as that one was. And so I went around, shook hands, and she said, oh, how do you like my hat? And I'm like, I have never seen anything like that in my life. She said, you don't like it, do you? I said, did I say I didn't like it? Well, it was the way you said it. Okay. She got the point, and I didn't have to lie. I've never seen anything like it before or after. I've never. So I told the truth, but she got the point that it was ugly. Temptation, lest ye fall into condemnation. Where did I get? Yeah. Where did I get temptation? That should be condemnation. There's a couple of ideas on that people have taken from the whole verse, and particularly, lest ye fall into condemnation. One is that by constantly fudging on the truth or stretching the truth, just barely beyond limits, I'll get to the point where nobody will believe me. I've told many of you, I had an uncle who was a pathological liar. If he came in the door and said the annex is on fire and I smell smoke, I would send you back to verify it before I acted, because nobody could believe a word he said. You know, I mean, nobody believed him about anything. So that would be one form of condemnation. You'll get to the point where nobody believes you about anything. The other one, which I think probably makes more sense, is that anybody who continues to have to vow, swear, promise, repeat over and over is probably such that they're going to fall under condemnation of God one of these days. And God's going to deal with them for being a liar and totally dishonest. Now, we'll get into afflictions, sickness next week, Lord willing, unless I'm not even going to say that. The doctor today said, "Isn't there anybody you could call to speak tonight?" And I said, on short notice, there's one man I could call, but I would not do that to him with an hour's notice. I've done it before, but I didn't do it tonight because that's just not fair to anybody. You got 1 hour to come up with a 30-minute sermon.